In the quiet of a Midwest suburb where streetlights buzzed and fireflies flickered, Ethan and Jay jogged under a starlit sky, their laughter slicing through the October chill. At 22, Ethan wasn't much for fitness. His evenings usually spent on video games, but Jay, a lean 23-year-old gym rat, kept him moving. They'd been tight since high school, sneaking into football games and debating the best dive bars in town. That night they ran through Ethan's neighborhood, a postcard-perfect Ohio suburb with neat lawns, basketball hoops, and pickup trucks parked in driveways. It felt safe, like the kind of place where nothing bad could happen. But the shadows had other plans. The neighborhood's main road, lined with humming streetlights, tied together a maze of cul-de-sacs and side streets that looped back like veins. Beyond the last houses, the pavement gave way to a dirt path, the back path, stretching into cornfields and weathered barns. Locals loved it for running, but there were whispers. A hiker who vanished decades ago, strange lights flickering in the fields at night. Ethan scoffed at the stories, chalking them up to bored teens at bonfires. He and Jay ran the path often, usually after dark, when the air was crisp and the streets empty. Tonight, they craved a challenge. Their usual loop felt too easy, so Jay pitched a new route. Start at Ethan's house, cut through the wooded trail to Maple Street, swing to the main road, then push out to the back path before circling home. 6 miles, maybe 7. Ethan hesitated. The wooded trail was creepy at night, but Jay's grin was infectious. "Don't wimp out," Jay teased, nudging him. So they laced up and set out, their sneakers pounding the pavement, their voices loud with chatter about old crushes and bad horror flicks. The neighborhood was still, save for crickets and the faint hum of a TV from an open window. As they neared the wooded trail, the streetlights faded and the trees closed in, their branches like bony fingers against the sky. The air turned sharp, heavy with the scent of damp leaves and pine. Ethan's stomach knotted, but he brushed it off. They'd run this path before. It was fine. They jogged deeper, their footsteps crunching on gravel, their banter fading as the woods seemed to swallow their words. Then it came, a sound, faint but unmistakable. Footsteps, not theirs, trailing behind. Ethan's heart skipped. He glanced at Jay, who was still rambling, oblivious. Probably another runner, Ethan told himself. The trail was popular, even at 9:30 p.m. But the footsteps didn't waver. They matched every step, every pause, like a shadow stitched to their heels. Ethan's pulse quickened, but he stayed quiet, not wanting to sound paranoid. Jay finally noticed, his head tilting as he slowed. "You hear that?" he whispered, his voice tight. Ethan nodded, his throat dry. They picked up their pace, their breaths puffing in the chilly air. The footsteps sped up too, mirroring them perfectly. When they slowed to a jog, the steps slowed, taunting them. Ethan's mind raced. A jogger? A prankster? The trail wasn't deserted, but this felt wrong, like the air was holding its breath. The trees loomed closer, their shadows twisting into shapes that didn't belong. Ethan's skin prickled, a primal instinct screaming they were being watched. He nudged Jay, his voice barely audible. "Let's get out of here." Jay nodded, his usual swagger gone, his eyes darting to the darkness. They were nearing the trail's end where it spilled onto Maple Street's bright lights. Ethan clung to the thought of those lights, their glow a promise of safety. When they burst out of the woods, they spun around, hearts pounding, expecting to see someone, anyone, behind them. The trail was empty, a black void staring back. No footsteps, no movement, just silence. Ethan forced a laugh, shaky and hollow. Just some rando, right? Jay shrugged, but his face was pale, his jaw clenched. They didn't believe their own words. They jogged on, reaching the main road, its streetlights a fleeting comfort. The back path lay ahead, where the pavement turned to dirt and the world grew wild. Against their better judgment, they kept going, driven by stubbornness or a need to prove the fear wrong. The path was darker than they remembered, the trees thicker, their branches clawing at the sky. No streetlights, no houses, just the crunch of dirt and the rustle of leaves. The air smelled heavy like wet earth and something sour, almost rotten. Ethan's unease grew, a cold weight in his chest. A mile in, they decided to turn back, their energy fading. As they turned, Ethan caught it. A flicker of movement in the trees, a dark shape darting out of sight. His breath hitched. "Jay!" he hissed, grabbing his friend's arm. "Something's there!" Jay squinted, his voice sharp. "You're seeing things, man. It's just the dark." But his tone wavered, betraying his doubt. They started back, their footsteps quicker, the path stretching endlessly before them. Ethan's eyes flicked to the trees where shadows seemed to shift and breathe. The spot where he'd seen the shape was coming up, and every step felt like a countdown. His heart hammered, his mouth dry. They passed it, nothing. No sound, no movement. Ethan exhaled, relief creeping in. Maybe Jay was right. Maybe it was just his imagination fueled by too many Netflix horror binges. Then it came. A rustle, sharp and close, maybe 15 feet behind them, like something heavy crashing through the brush. They froze, their breaths shallow, their bodies rigid. Slowly they turned. There, in the middle of the path, stood a figure. It faced away, motionless, its silhouette stark against the faint moonlight. It was tall, unnaturally thin, draped in a tattered black hoodie that seemed to drink the darkness. Its khaki pants were shredded, stained with mud and something darker, its shoes scuffed and wrong, like they'd walked through places no one should. A faint smell hit them, rotting leaves, wet cloth, and something acrid like decay. Ethan's blood turned to ice. His heart pounded so hard he thought it had burst. Jay's voice cut through, low and angry. "Hey, what's your deal?" He stopped, his words choking off because that's when it happened. The figure laughed. It wasn't human. It was a jagged, cackling sound like glass shattering in slow motion, sharp enough to make Ethan's skin crawl. His legs went weak. The figure turned slowly, like it wanted them to see. Its face was pale as bone, glowing in the dark, with eyes so wide they didn't look real, gleaming like they belonged to something else. Those eyes locked onto them, unblinking, burning through the night. The laugh faded into silence, but the stare didn't. It was a glare that carried weight, like it knew them, like it had always known them. Ethan couldn't move, couldn't breathe. The world shrank to that face, those eyes, that thing. Jay's hand clamped onto Ethan's arm, his voice a hiss. "Run, now!" They bolted, their feet slamming the dirt, their lungs screaming. The main road was close, its faint glow their only hope. That laugh erupted again, chasing them, echoing through the trees like a pack of hyenas. It was everywhere, clawing at their ears, their minds. Ethan didn't look back, he couldn't. All he could think was, get to the light, get home. His legs burned, his chest tight, but he kept going. Jay was beside him, his face gray, his eyes wild. They hit the main road and didn't stop, sprinting the 2 miles back to Ethan's house. Streetlights blurred past, but they didn't feel safe. Nothing did. That laugh was in Ethan's head, even when it faded. When they reached the house, Ethan fumbled his keys, hands shaking so bad he dropped them. They stumbled through the back door, and Ethan puked in the grass, his stomach heaving, his body spent. He locked every door, slammed the garage shut, checked the windows 3 times. Jay collapsed on the couch, panting, his face ashen. They sat in silence, the weight of what they'd seen crushing them. That face, that laugh. It was burned into them, a scar they couldn't shake. 2 months later, the night still haunted them. Ethan and Jay stopped running in the neighborhood, sticking to the gym or daylight jogs in busy parks. The suburb didn't feel like home anymore. It was as if that night had peeled back its skin, revealing something dark beneath. Ethan drove past the back path once in broad daylight and swore he saw a shadow flicker in the trees. He didn't stop to check. The whispers about the path, the hiker, the lights, felt less like gossip now. Ethan wondered what they'd seen. A drifter, a sick prank, or something older, something tied to the land, waiting for fools like them to wander too far. He didn't know, and he didn't want to. He kept replaying it, wondering what would have happened if they hadn't run, if they'd stayed frozen, staring at that thing. Would it have come closer? Would it have spoken? The thought made him sick. Jay didn't talk about it, but Ethan saw the change. His friend checked his rearview mirror more, flinched at sudden noises. They were closer now, bound by a shared nightmare, but neither would wish it on anyone. For those who run at night, a warning. Stick to bright streets, bring a friend, trust your gut. If the air feels wrong, if the shadows move, don't wait to find out why. Ethan learned that the hard way, on a path that seemed harmless but held secrets older than the town itself. Some roads lead you home, others lead to something else.